Hi, my name is Eloise Coopersmith, and I am the writer, lyricist, and actress in my unauthorized Hallmark movie musical, which is being produced by the P3 Theater Company. If you want to know more about it, check out our website, www.lovealwayswinsmusical.com, or better yet, stay tuned and watch this video. Well, I fell in love with theater because when I was 5 years old, my mom took me to see Funny Girl. I lived in New York, and I saw Barbra Streisand do Funny Girl, and I was done. I had to be her. You know, I'm Jewish, so that helps. But she's fantastic, and so she's always been a person that I've loved. And then when we moved and my parents separated, I would sit in my room and I would listen to records over and over again of Julie Andrews singing, you know, The Sound of Music or whatever, and it made me feel good. And so for me, what theater does and why I can't stop doing it is its magic makes me feel magical. And I just can't imagine living without it. And that's why this last, 18 months has been so challenging, because we haven't had a lot of live theater. And although I appreciate people putting it, sharing it somehow through the computer and Zoom and everything, there is just nothing like being there in person, and nothing like sharing that piece of yourself in person. I wrote my first show when I was 32, and it was called Touchstones, and I just wrote it. Didn't know, never went to a class, never had a playwriting class, nothing. And I was lucky enough to have Actors Alley, which I don't think is around anymore, produce it. And it was an amazing experience to be part of the writing, see your thing come up, and then to express those words yourself as an actor. And then I had my kids. So I stopped performing completely, writing. I mean, being a parent is a full-time job if you're doing that, supporting, blah, blah, blah. And when my children went off to college, I met this amazing woman named Sarah Guerrero. And I met her in a playwriting class that I started to take at South Coast Repertory Theater. And there is just something, Sarah's like a Pied Piper. There's something about her that is so magical, and she's so inspirational. And as I was leaving the class for the last day, she said, "How would you like to join our Breath of Fire group?" And I was like, well, I would love to do that. And so Breath of Fire was where I became inspired to write. Diana Bourbano, Kristen Leach, all the people they brought in to teach, and Sarah, and how we would share, Yolanda. This group of artists was the most inspiring, dynamic group of people I'd ever met in my life, and loving, like there was no judging going on, and so I could grow. And out of that, I wrote my first web series, which filmed, and it was for consideration for an Emmy, so it's really had a wonderful life. And then I started to realize that there's the gnat. I started to realize that I couldn't really stop writing. And so I joined a group it's an Artist's Way group with Julia Cameron. And she wrote the book. She's not the head of our group. Head of our group is an incredible woman named Holly Payberg. And Holly Payberg, we went through this group of 6 women, the Artist's Way book together. And it tells you to write every morning, you do pages, and so on. And that carried on what I had from Breath of Fire, and I became inspired. And during COVID, I needed to express how I was feeling. So I wrote my current project, which is my unauthorized Hallmark movie musical. So why do I love musicals and romantic stories? So if you can't say it with music, you can't say it anywhere. There's something about music that is so universal that if you're ever standing somewhere and, Sprouts Market. I'm standing there during COVID, we're all masked, it's like nobody's talking, it's the quietest it's ever been, and they play some of the best music on their thing. And you start to notice that people are moving to the music, and they're all doing it, even though this is in a public environment, and they're all kind of getting off on the song. Even the cashier, I said, "This is a really good song." She goes, "I love when this song comes on." That's why music, because music brings everybody together. It doesn't matter who you are, color, creed, background, whatever. Music is that one thing that brings all of our hearts together. And why romance? Oh, come on. by romance because we all love it. We love the idea of being in love. We love the idea of loving. We love our parents. We love our kids. We just love to see it's predictable. It's exactly what you're going to get, and dag nabbit, it's just really great at the end when everybody's super happy, because I'm a big fan right now of everybody being happy. Why are musicals good for the soul? Musicals are good for the soul because it's a language that transcends anything. It transcends language, it transcends background, it transcends history, it puts you in the present, and it creates a oneness among people, and that is the brilliance of music. And why Roxana was so brilliant when she took my songs is because she elevated it to a place where everybody would participate in it and not just me. So music is that one thing that constantly brings us together. And why? I think it's because we don't judge it, we just celebrate it. So the reason that theater is so unique and not like, there's nothing like it, and you can't really live without it, is because that performance that you get in that moment, that place, and that time will never be filtered by anyone. It will always be unique. I could come and see that show again and have that moment be completely different or the same. It's alive. And when it's present and alive like that, you're alive. You feel it, you know it, you see it. It's too easy with television. I'm kind of terrified of scary movies. I don't watch them specifically alone. And I can always zip by them. You know, if something bad happens, and so I control it. So I control the experience. Whereas in live theater, we have it all together. It's amazing, magical. Well, I heard about the P3 Theater Company because my dear friend Michelle Holmes, an amazingly talented actress, who was my roommate in college, which tells you how long we've known each other, she was doing Steel Magnolias, and she said, come see the show. So I came to see it, and I was like, wow, this is a really great idea. Huge theater, but great idea. And the next thing I knew, another dear friend of mine, Deborah Robbins, who I had done a year before, we had done Mary Poppins, and she was Mary and I was the evil Nanny Andrews. She had said to me, I'm doing this amazing show with this fantastic man, and you need to come see it. So I did. It's the Doris Day show, and she was brilliant in it. I mean, brilliant, and I just loved it. And I thought, how great that this gentleman does shows that bring people joy. And my show, my goal of my show is to bring people joy. So I reached out to Deborah, said, do you think John would even take a look at my stuff? Because I have a website now. And she said, sure. And she gave me his contact information, and the rest is history, or the present, I guess. So my process for each of the projects that I have written has been completely different. For example, the project that I have right now, my Unauthorized HALLMARK Movie Musical, I make my daily living as a residential real estate appraiser. And at the beginning of COVID, appraisers would not go into homes, and people were losing their jobs and needed you to come in so they could pull money out before they didn't have any way to prove income and so on. And I would go into these homes, and people were traumatized, and they would share that trauma with me. And I would take it home, and then I would sit down, and I just turned on the television, and Hallmark movies were there. And I started only watching them. I actually became completely addicted. I'd be there till 3 a.m. I could not subscribe and get the app because I was afraid I would never sleep. You know, at least, okay, that one's over. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll jump up and go to sleep, or I'll fall asleep on the couch or whatever. And so every day I was sitting there going through this, taking people in, helping them, and then going home and releasing it to a Hallmark movie. And so I thought, you know what, I really need to write about this some way. And I saw that Dramatists Guild had a class for composers. And so I signed up for the class, online of course, and I realized in the first class I was not in the right class because I am the kind of person that writes a song, I do the lyrics, and then I hum it, much like Mel Brooks did for all of his musicals. I hum it, and then I find some amazing person to make it work. And so I had just done a show February before everything closed down at No Square Theatre, and the music director there was Roxana Ward, brilliant woman, brilliant piano player, just amazing talent. And I reached out to her after the first class and said, I've taken this class and I'm in a lot of trouble. Will you help me? And we did. We met with masks. I would write, I would hum, I would send it to her. We would get together, 6 feet apart, masked, and she is brilliant. And she would take what I had and make it magnificent. And as we started doing this, again, I had no play in mind, I just was writing. And the more Hallmark I watched, the more it infiltrated my songs. And then the next thing I knew, I sat down and was thinking to myself, how would this fit? And my Artist Ways group was reading a book called The Heroine's Journey. And as I read it, I became inspired and sat down and started putting the songs together and started writing the story. And one day, I don't know how you guys got your exercise, but I would watch a friend of mine named Emma. She is a tap dancing teacher on Facebook, and I would watch her, and I realized she was the perfect person to be my lead ingenue. And so she was my inspiration, and I started writing the way I could hear her talk. And everything just snowballed, and at the end of it, I had written a 90-minute one-woman show about a woman who's addicted to Hallmark movies and finds a way to find not only herself, but to find a way to write a romance story so she realizes that she's empowered. So went from Hallmark movie to a romance about empowerment of individuals. This is a story of a woman who cannot stop watching Hallmark movies. So where it starts is she is watching, honestly, part of my favorite part of every Hallmark movie, where they've been through everything for the last hour and whatever, and then, how did you know? How did you know? Because love always wins. And I'm telling you, Bill, when they kiss, I get the most happy feeling inside because it worked out. And so that's where the show starts. And she sits down and she has decided to write her own Hallmark musical because she can't break free. So she sits down, and the first thing she does is tell the story of where she wants her heroine to go, and then magically on screen, the story starts to appear. So what I should share with you, so you understand the context a little bit, is we filmed the film that the audience gets to see. So it's a one-woman show with 8 other actors that are all in a multimedia film. And on our screen behind me plays what happens in my imagination. And every time somebody falls in love or the girls have something, they're all the tropes from Hallmark, and I recognize them, and I participate in it. So it's like being in a Hallmark movie that you're writing. And there are my actors. First of all, the film was directed by Chrissy Guerrero, who's brilliant. And she brought in some of the most amazing actors who we were fortunate enough to have a COVID officer. We came in, everybody was either vaccinated or tested, every day. We did everything right. And we filmed this amazing story that is in my imagination. So I sing with those characters on the television, I dance with them, it's super fun. And what happens at one point is what happens to every writer. It's what happened to me when I wrote this story, is you get writer's block. And you feel like the reason you can't write anymore, it's not because you're blocked. What you really feel like is you're not enough. It's a really horrible feeling to have writer's block because you do all kinds of things to break it. You exercise, you walk away for a bit, you eat, all kinds of things. But it isn't until Emma, the character that I'm writing about, comes alive on the screen after I've already thrown away the computer. And she convinces me to move forward and try to find the answer. And our amazing director, Anne Ranolfson, when we were rehearsing it, said to me, everybody needs an Emma. And I think that's what's really so relatable about any Hallmark movie or this show in particular, is having that voice say to you, you are enough, and let's find a way to make it happen. And so what does happen is the writer does figure it out, and she not only figures out how to solve the problem on the screen so that it's a happily ever after, but she figures out how to believe in herself and how to move forward and continue to create. So that's kind of in the nutshell what the story's about. So the other characters I interact with, I already spoke a little bit about Emma. Emma is played by the brilliant Nina Herzog. She's just fantastic. And Emma is, much like the writer herself, going on this journey trying to figure out not only who she is, but how does she participate in this world that she's in. What's happened is she is part of an artistic troupe that half of them went to this country called Punch. And by the way, if you look up Punch, it's Czech for Hallmark. That's a secret. Anyway, so she gets trapped there with only half the team. And the maestro, who she has loved and been, supportive, really, he has trained her how to do everything. He's there, but he's a little fearful and panicked, but he goes on to be more blustery, and that is played by Benny Perez. And if you have not seen Benny Perez perform, you have missed a genius. You have to see this because he's so brilliant. He's every bad person you ever loved, Jafar and all those. He just wraps it up so deliciously. And the maestro will not listen to her. So it's her and her three best friends who are dancers in the troupe, Patty, Maxine, and Laverne. Yes, Patty, Maxine, and Laverne, after the famous Andrews sisters. And they are there to support her. And each one of them plays a role. That would be Sam, Maggie, and Monica. And those three beautiful ladies embody every best friend in Hallmark. every aunt, the people that are always giving me advice, and they really support her. The other person is, of course, our amazing, handsome lead, Andrew Joseph Perez. He's fantastic. He's totally hot, and if I wasn't 50 years older than him, I'm sure that would sound weird. But so there's Andrew, and he comes to her in his dreams because this is a magical castle, and so we have a scene where he's a knight and they dance, and it's just like the many, where the ingenue finds out that the guy she loves is really a prince, and they dance, always have a dance together. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. And then our tavern owner, who's played by Jim Blanchett, who is just magnificent because Jim has comic timing like I have never seen in an actor. He and his daughter, who is these background people who take care of the tavern, because they always have, Tess plays the daughter of the tavern owner, they always have some youth who helps everybody snap out of it in the Hallmark movies. And that's her job. And not only that, we always have somebody crushing on the main thing, and that's what Tess does as well. And all of these actors worked as an ensemble together and sang and danced, and our film crew was so impressed with them. Our finale, because of course, it's a musical, right? Schmigadoon style. Our DP came up and said to me, when you shoot 20 times the same dance number. And he came over to me and he said, "These are the most amazing dancers I've ever seen." And I was like, well, they are amazing, thank you. But is there any reason why? And he goes, well, typically when you shoot and you're not pointing the camera at a group of dancers, they all kind of mark it and they stand and they lack energy. And every time we did that, of all the 20 times we did it, everybody was full out every time. And I said, well, that's because they're theater people, and that's what we do. And also, it was the first time most of them had been able to perform in a year. And there was that why theater, right? Because it ignites you and you bring something to it, and it feels so damn good when you do it, right? So for me, it was inspiring to watch all these brilliant actors come together. And Chrissy directed them on and Claudia, our choreographer, they taught them all on Zoom. So literally, when we got there, was the first time they were standing up and actually performing. So my hat's off to them. And when you see this production and you see the film, you will be wowed by their performances. Very, 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 very talented people who I'm super grateful to have worked for. What do I want the audience to get out of my play? Joy. I honestly believe there is a place for joy right now, needed more than any other time. I've been very fortunate to have been connected with a lot of theaters. Breath of Fire really writes very passionately and earnestly about equal rights and establishing themselves. The Chance Theater has some really amazing, edgy, and brilliant things. And this project didn't really fit with them. I wanted people to have that 90 minutes of joy that I got every time I watched a Hallmark movie. And I wanted them to go out and just be able to breathe again. And I think if I could give people that, that would make me probably the happiest person on this planet. When I'm performing in a live production, I am hardly ever aware of the audience unless they laugh. So I guess I'm looking forward to laughing, hearing people laugh. I mean, I practice this show in my living room with, by myself with a rolling chair, okay? I mean, when you do a one-person show, and I'm sure anybody that's ever done one, you could ask Deborah, it's a lot of work because it really is all you. And what's unique about this project is all those actors in that film, they already know their lines and they're doing them perfectly every time. And I have to fit my world into that. So if I hear the audience laughing and if I hear them celebrating, and if they would walk out and just be happy for a bit, that would be, like I said, just really amazing. So the differences between doing a one-person show and being in a musical with 8 other live actors with you is there's some things that are really exciting, like it's all up to you to make sure you meet everything that people have there, and it's up to you as a one person to bring it alive. What's unique about this one-person show is, and what people dread about one-person shows, is that as one person, like, can I hang in with this one person for 90 minutes? Yeah, but it's 9 of us. There's 9 of us on stage. What I do miss is after the show is over, at least this is what happened after we filmed, you're by yourself. You don't go out for a drink or food, or you don't recount all the funny moments on stage. The show I had just done before COVID, my mic went out, and my director, Bree, so brilliant, she walked out in front of the audience and everything, handed me a new mic, and we finished the song. So, that kind of thing. What I love about this is the audience is going to love seeing all these brilliant performances, and at the same time, they get to have somebody live. We didn't have to have a Foley editor on our film because it's still live. I'm still live, unlike just going to a film. Very unique experience, and to tell you the truth, I love both. But I had a lot of joy watching the actors and Chrissy directing them when we were filming the whole thing. It was pretty exciting. Why must come and see my unauthorized Hallmark movie musical? Oh my gosh, why would you not want to come and see my unauthorized Hallmark movie musical? If you love Hallmark, I've got all the tropes that'll tickle you. If you hate Hallmark, you'll get to point and go, it's for everybody. There isn't an age that can't come see it. That it's a project that is done with so much heart and joy that's why you need to come, because you guys need to remember how to smile and how to have fun. It is possible, even with COVID. So why will people want to come see this in a post-pandemic world? I think it's because they're as hungry as I am for letting go of, my gosh, I admire everything on television, but it's so violent. And I admire all the, things that come on that make your heart race. Those are amazing. But I think we just need to take a deep breath and just celebrate love and celebrate who we are. That's why the tag on our show is love always wins. Love's going to win over the pandemic. Love's going to win over our fears. And love is going to win when you come and see the show and help you take a step back and realize you're going to be okay. Why should you get involved with P3 Theater Company? 2 words, John Peterson. Okay, the man's brilliant. He is. I went to see him recently in his show, and he just exudes fun. He just exudes joy. That's how I knew that this was the place, that my show was in the right place, because he's there to celebrate life, humor, the things that we love. Yes, I understand that the trend right now tends to be a little bit different, but I think there's room for everybody. And I think what I love about it is that John is able to manifest that he's making that happen, and especially in this environment. That's why. So why are theaters like P3 Theater and all the other theaters in need of help and support? I feel like that answer is answered in the way that, what did you do during COVID? You got entertained, you read a book, you saw a work of art, you did something that elevated your life and helped you move forward every day, right? Get out of bed. Oh, I'm gonna look at this, and it's gonna help me remember that I'm human. And it's so important, because if you don't participate in small theater or even large theater and you don't go, then the arts are not enriching your life, and you're missing out on something totally incredible. And so it's not so much that you're donating or dedicating, that you're just giving. It's this incredible exchange between the artists and you that elevates your life and helps you wake up every day and know that there's a tomorrow, and that love always wins, or that the hero's going to survive. Those are the things that really move us as people. And that's why you should participate, because you deserve to be moved. Hi, my name is Eloise Coopersmith, and I have been talking with you about my unauthorized Hallmark movie musical, which is having its world premiere at the P3 Theater Company coming up. Please come and join us. It will bring you to a level of celebration that you will be so grateful you participated in. See you at the theater.